Hi, this is Bruce Rivers. Welcome to another episode of Criminal Lawyer Reacts, where we react to drill music, we react to the various issues of the day, popular cases, and sometimes we just do stuff for fun. Want to just thank our Patreon subscribers. Thank all of our subscribers on YouTube. We're over 3.25 now, which is just amazing. I can't even believe that we're over 325,000 subscribers. Really want to appreciate all of our fans. Or let our fans know that we appreciate them. And we also have merch. We've got, look at our hats, and we're going to have shirts coming up here. So keep an eye out for that. They're going to be, actually, I really like the design. It's pretty kind of, you guys will love it. So today, all right, this is just for fun. I haven't done any research on this, don't know much about this. This is Satan 2.0, and I have not seen this. Sometimes I do read them a little bit beforehand, sometimes I don't. This one I have not seen. This was Michael. He thought this would be funny, and this would be my son's idea of a joke on me, perhaps. I don't know, but we'll get into it, and let's see what we... this is official TS Satan 2.0. And I believe this is UK drill as well. So, here we go. Now, here we have, just starting off, and this guy almost looks like the Gimp from Pulp Fiction. Now, let's look at this. This is just really dark. Really, really dark. As opposed to, just kind of hanging out on a golf course with some squirt guns.
Get ready. While I cast with it. When I wedge that shank in your chest, I promise you I'ma lose control. Watch your eyes.
When I wedge that shank in your chest, I promise I'm going to lose control. Well, right off the bat, we don't have a bucolic scene on a golf course. We've got some demonic. So Satan 2.0 really fits.
Back in your coffin out blood, and it's got scores fresh like fresh on my core. Have it.
I promise you I'm going to lose control. Watch your eyes roll back and you're coughing out blood. And his guts go squish like fresh in my core. I think this sounds like something I used to read to my son before I put him to bed at night.
The deaf come watch the show. Don't try run, gonna skip the ghost. Cry for help where we snatch that soul. Strangle him till we turn and crow.
Okay, don't try run, can't escape the ghost. Cry for help when we snatch that soul. I guess we on the Satan theme, right? When I wedge that shank in your chair, I promise to lose control. Strangle him till we turn him crow. I suppose reference to a black crow. This is, yeah, I can see why Michael grew up disturbed.
I wedge that shank in your chest, I promise you I'ma lose control. Watch your eyes roll back and you're coughing out blood, and it's got scores fresh like fresh on my core. Have a taste of death, come watch the show. Don't try run, can't escape the ghost. Cry for help where we snatch that soul. Strangle him till we turn him crow. Don't be stupid, always ruthless. Carve out his chest, leave more than bruises. Push that.
Alright, so as you know, in the UK they really don't allow guns, but I mean, don't be stupid, always ruthless. Carve out his chest, leave more than bruises. Well, if you're gonna go all the way. Don't go big or go home. That's what I always say.
Cupid pay to the gin, are you fucking deluded mental? I'm fucking tapped, you'd lose your shit from the fools I had. Turn a big man, no man, I shan't get.
Alright, push that chrome in his heart like Cupid. Pray to the gin, you're fucking deluded. Mental, I'm fucking tapped. So when Michael was younger, I used to read him all kinds of really disturbing shit, and I guess that's why he is getting me back now.
Adrenaline rush will make him spaz. When I talk about a coffin and grave, just know that your time will eventually come. If you don't get smoked in the dunya, then in the graveyard, little man get burned. Your aunt, your cat, your dog, your son, they'll all get put for the things.
All right, so we don't have some wholesome guys. These are not guys that I would hang out with necessarily. These are guys I would probably take money from and probably lose their case because they seem kind of reckless. However, it makes for good theater. See, now you see these guys, if you remember, the UK doesn't have guns, and so that's what they talk about, pushing the, what does he say? Pushing the steel in like Cupid. Now, and so they use a lot of knives, and which is really more up close and personal, like I've said before. But
the dunya, then in the graveyard, little man get burned. Your aunt, your cat, your dog, your son, they'll all get put for the things you done.
So if you don't get smoked in the dunya, then in the graveyard, little men get burned. Your aunt, your cat, your dog, your son, they all get fucked for the things they've done. Now, I'm not a religious man necessarily. I do go to church once in a while, but this is just dark shit. It's Satan 2.0.
That Luther King, that head's got smashed and split like rum. And I don't play games when it comes to
that head's got smashed and split like rum. I don't play games when it comes to this life.
I'm trying to prepare for the day I die, get beat like drama, smoke like spice. Satan got a speech for all of these guys. Big man,
I'm going to prepare for the day I die, get beat like a drum, or smoke like spice. So, having a reckless disregard for life is one of the things that people look at in crimes. So let's just talk about that element for a second. So, if you are a depraved son of a bitch and you do depraved things, that can be taken into account when a judge looks at you and says, okay, you chopped up the body and you smoked him, and then you did a ceremony around him, and then you mailed all the body parts to his relatives. That's some cold shit right there. Actually, I had a case just like that. And, somebody who does something like that knows they're trading their life for the life that they've taken. Because then there's nothing to do except for send that person away for the rest of their natural born life.
Let me not lie, your own guys watching you die. Go and kill their little siblings and tear that flesh, make sure it's right.
All right, big man, you're panicked. Don't let me not lie. Your own guys watching you die, go and kill their little siblings and tear their flesh and make sure it's right. Don't you think, honestly, that you would just rather have tea with these guys and just try to talk some sense into them? Say, hey, let's have some crumpets and let's talk about flowers.
When I wedge that shank
Or
in your
not.
chest, I promise you I'ma lose control. Watch your eyes roll back and you're coughing out blood, and the guts goes frisk like flesh on my core. Have a taste of death, come watch this show. Don't try run, can't escape the ghost. Cry for help where we snatch that soul. Strangle him till we turn him crow. When I wedge that shank in your chest, I promise you I'ma lose control.
When I wedge that shank in your chest, I'm going to lose control. Losing control could also be seen as diminished capacity. For example, if you have a case where you get into a fight with somebody and you just go berserk, that's depraved mind. Or you could have a situation where you don't have any clue as to what you're doing, and because you just lost it, and that would be a mental health defense. However, this seems a hell of a lot more calculated, and so he's planning on losing control, which would be premeditation.
Eyes roll back and you're coughing out blood, and his guts go squish like flesh on my core. Have a taste of death, come watch this show. Don't try run, can't escape the ghost. Cry for help where we snatch that soul. Strangle him till we turn him crow. How many times did I tell these kids? Rot in your grave and burn like wrist. Flick shank on the flick, put holes in wrist. Put acid on him and burn that skin.
All right, how many times did I tell these kids, rot in your grave and burn like Riz? I don't know who Riz is, but flip that shank. When I flip, put holes in Riz, pour acid on him, and burn that skin. That would be... The other thing is that sometimes there's grounds for a departure, an upward departure. And particular cruelty is one of those grounds. So if you put a hole in somebody and burn the fuck out of them with acid, well, one could argue that would be particularly cruel. So if you're sitting there in front of the judge and you've done that, well, that'd be a ground for an upward departure. Doesn't sound nice.
Blood that's attempted, click his head and neck like curse or perjure. Nothing in hell is worse, I do not run when we slap that burner. You're a big man now in this world, but in a coffin you're a fucking bitch. Let me give you a taste of death real quick. Stone that pick till he done twitch.
So, doing nothing wrong when he slapped that burner. I don't know, the burner is... could be like a gun or whatever, but you're a big man now in this world, but in the coffin you're a fucking bitch. Let me give you a taste of death real quick. Stone that prick till he done twitch. So, stone him, I suppose, beat the piss out of him until he's twitching.
He try fuck with a witch, turn him, slice him up like pig is peaking, mad in the life we live. Pray 5 times, Lord, forgive my sins. Don't try run, you won't make it far. You will never see flesh coming out, but
pray for the times, Lord, forgive my sins. So, I pray for his forgiveness. That's actually the only positive thing I've seen out of this fucking video.
But you never is no then bake off good can praise Allah. Don't know about the pain in all the trauma, burn him, turn his chest scripts like walk off.
Then Bake Off Good can praise to Allah. You don't know about the pain and all the trauma.
I got smoke him like sauna. Grab that kid, put him in the cooler. Flesh and guts, then love with it. Blood dripping out, can't give him a slip. Boy, these kids did. Open him up like a fucking lid, I'm dying. And
so when he says bore these kids, dip. Basically what he's saying is bore them, like stick them, like boring a pig.
I'm sick, it's hurting. Get rid of this shit. Give the soul to the gin that's fizz. Makes blood turn blue like a fucking crit. All the talk and the chit and the chat, but they don't say shit when the rams get back. Too much produce my black tail cap. I ain't prod by walk, so I won't be at. If I ain't got bars, then who's got bars? No lead to the V and my rhymes are class. Stab that.
So, but they don't say shit when the Rams get backed. To all my producers for my blacked out cab. So he starts talking about his own rap and how great it is. I will have to say I like the sound of it. I don't like the material itself because it just seems so demonic.
Stab that pig, take a pit.
I assume because he's making a stabbing motion with that guy's face on, he's trying to diss on him. That's my guess.
And deep can't speak when you're in the graveyard. Chest shot with a dust bullseye like dart. I'ma dig up your chest, that's yellow like bar. No broken marriage, I'ma rip it apart and grab that. You put him in a car. You can try run, but you won't get far. Carve his face and call it art, or tie him up, feed him to the sharks. Big man, don't run with a shotgun fart.
Tie him up and feed him to the sharks. So one of the things about feeding somebody to the sharks is that you don't have any evidence. Actually had a case where some guy had a pig farm, and if you know anything about a pig farm, you feed somebody to pigs, there's nothing left. And I say nothing, I mean nothing. Bones, hair, everything. And if you throw a dead body in a 75,000 hog farm, guess what you're going to get? A lot of hog shit, and there won't be anything for anybody to go through.
It's mad, it's fucked. Try play dead, keep digging your lungs. Rip my soul from his fucking chest and drink his blood. How's that for lunch? You could be big, built and tough, but you cry like a bitch when we chop your tongue. Beg for help, cry to your mom, but there's no going back from the things you.
Okay, let's dissect this, shall we? Try playing dead, keep digging your lungs. Rip man's soul from his fucking chest. then drink his blood. How's that for lunch? Don't like that. You could be big, built, and tough, but you'll cry like a bitch when we chop your tongue. Cry to your mom.
Satan 2.0.
So that we thank Michael Rivers for this incredible, heart-wrenching tale of Satan 2.0. I suggest we listen to something a little more bucolic, like killing all our dead people on a golf course. I don't know. Anyway, this has just been a couple of my little observations on Satan 2.0. And again, thank you to Michael Rivers for polluting my brain with images of popping people in the chest and making them crow and whatever the fuck they do. Anyway, I do like the UK drill. I do like it. But I don't necessarily think you need to go demonic. But it is what it is. So this has been Criminal Lawyer Reacts to Satan 2.0. Again, thank you, Michael Rivers, for polluting not only my brain, but the brain of everybody listening. No, I'm kidding, of course. But so this was Satan 2.0. So if you are watching this, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter. Why not? Hook up to the Patreon account and get some priority. And look for our merch. Our merch is on its way. We've got shirts and hats. And then if you guys have any ideas on what you'd like to see for merch, let us know in the comments section. We do read most of the comments. And I might have an episode coming up where we actually just read comments because I think that'd be kind of fun to. Some of them are just absolutely outrageous. So this has been Bruce Rivers, Criminal Lawyer Reacts. We'll see you next time. Hi, this is Bruce Rivers. Welcome to another fun-filled episode of Criminal Lawyer Reacts. I'm Bruce Rivers, coming to you with my Tiffany cufflinks. So sometimes, sometimes I delve myself into the civil world. In the last 2.5 weeks, I was with Dan Craig, Jared Reams, a couple of assistants, Leah Hapke and Ann, a fairly new lawyer. And we had a team together, and we had a civil case that was amazing. We had a 2.5 week trial. Our client was burned 40% of his body. We sued the manufacturer of a particular product, and the jury awarded our client $35 million. What did I say? $35 million. Amazing. And today we are reacting to Ohio dad shooting a boyfriend. This brings up a lot of different issues. But before we get to that, let's just let you know that this episode, like all of our episodes, are brought to you by eforms.com. That's eforms.com. What did I say? I said eforms.com. Eforms.com is a great platform where you can get forms. Legal forms, you don't need to hire a guy like me because guess what? You pay me a ton of money. Guess where I'd go? I'd go to eforms.com, and then all of a sudden I got this power of attorney or some other agreement that you need to, I did this myself. No, you can just go there and you can avoid hiring a guy like me. So go to eforms.com if you need a loan agreement, you need a power of attorney, or any other kind of legal form. Just head up there and they will get you everything you need, and it's no brainer. Don't reinvent the wheel. So go to eforms.com. So let's just get right into this. Michael, our content genius, has said this is what we need to react to today. So I'm going to react to this. I haven't seen it, but I can already tell you that this is sort of like, you dating my daughter, with a shotgun on a balcony, whatever, which you can't do. But let's see what happens. Get off my porch. Now, it looks like he's trying to break in. So let's just talk about the castle doctrine. You know what the castle doctrine is? Everybody hears that, everybody talks about stand your ground laws. Well, the castle doctrine is a doctrine that says you don't have to retreat from your own home. If you're not in a stand your ground state, but you're in your own home, most, if not all states have the castle doctrine. You don't have to retreat from an intruder in your own home. You can stand your ground. However, and you can use lethal force if it's reasonable to repel what you believed a felony to be. So let's see what happens here. off my porch.
A Ring doorbell camera captures the terrifying moment when a woman's ex-boyfriend is shot and killed by her father.
Ooh, I didn't know that. Okay, that adds... See, every time you get a little wrinkle of a fact. So he's not the boyfriend, he's the ex-boyfriend.
Drew says she and her mother returned home from breakfast when her ex-boyfriend approached the front door. When no one answers the door, the man starts to get physical.
Now that's a little bit terrifying. You know, when somebody's trying to break into your house, you don't know what the fuck they're going to do, right? So, now this isn't just like some, I love you. He's not saying anything, and he's trying to break in.
Through all this, Allison places a call to 911.
All right, so we got 911 called. That's good.
There's some guy on my front porch, and he won't leave, and he's got his hands behind his back, and he'll answer me on the...
And so he's got his hands behind his back. Look at the damage to the door.
But he left me a voicemail on my phone last night.
That voicemail came from 22-year-old James Rail, who Allison says she dated several years ago.
Hi, Ollie.
Several years ago. Okay, so it's not even a recent boyfriend.
It's James. I just wanted to reach out to you because I just wanted to see how you're doing. It's been a while since I talked to you, and I feel like it, I don't know what I feel. I do know that I do want to talk to you, though. I do. It'd be nice. Be sweet.
Allison...
See that, let me just go back. Just look at the screws coming out.
Though. I do. It'd be nice.
Look at the window broken. So that's pretty fucking aggressive. So from that, you can garner that he means harm. And generally speaking, you have to fear great bodily harm or death to use lethal force or substantial bodily harm.
Be sweet.
Allison later tells investigators she did not return the call.
And he tried to contact me a couple times, and I've ignored it. And then last night he called me at 11:40. I didn't answer. He left me a voicemail saying, "Hey, let's talk." I didn't answer.
You know, the creepier you get, the less women like you. So just a rule of thumb, guys.
Answer him.
After Rail breaks through the family's door, Allison's father, Mitchell Duckrew, calls out with a warning.
So now, is this justified or is it not justified? Here's the thing. He calls that a warning. All right? I've got a gun. And if that doesn't scare somebody and they're still coming after you, do you have reason to fear? I think you do.
Seconds later, 3 shots are fired in Rail's direction.
Any further? I'm sorry.
Ma'am?
Yeah?
What's going on?
He broke through the door and my dad shot at him.
Ring footage shows Rail falling to the ground before dragging himself toward the family's garage. Soon after, several neighbors approach the scene.
He was trying to break in and get to our daughter.
Okay, well, he's not moving. He'll have a gun.
Well, he's not moving. He don't have a gun. That isn't always... But, they're on the phone with 911. So, this is what we call... See, I kind of like cases like this because there's no investigation that's going to really tell you what happened here. Because it's all on video, number one. And you have sound, number two. And then it's really about what does this mean, legally speaking, right?
Our door in.
Did you shoot him?
Yeah.
Did you shoot him?
Okay.
Ma, I think we shot him.
We're on the phone with him right now.
Meanwhile, Allison remains on the line with 911 and can be heard comforting her father.
Dad, you're the best dad ever. You just saved my life.
I know I got one of me.
Now, listen to that. Listen to that terrified young girl. That is fucking gold to the defense. You just saved my life. If she reasonably thought that her life was in danger, then odds are the dad did too.
It's gonna be Portland ready.
No, you saved my life, Dad.
Do what?
Neighbors outside monitor the situation.
Dude, I don't. You better hurry up and get an ambulance down here. Oh my gosh. Hey, did you already kill them, Alan? Yeah. Did you tell me he shot? He's dead. He's shot. He's gone. He's dead. Dude, he's about ready to die. Yeah, I hear him. He's dead. He died.
Several minutes after gunshots rang out, officers arrived to the scene.
Where's the guy with the gun? The guy's dead. Right here. Where's the guy with the gun? Inside the house. He's the homeowner.
But these Ring door cameras are awesome, aren't they? And I mean, awesome in the sense that it's really clear video, and the audio is crystal clear.
I tried to break in the house. Okay. And the guy was just basically protect himself.
We're right here.
Okay, you guys have your gun down?
Yeah, we're right here.
Officers enter the home and secure the weapon used in the shooting. After that, the Duckroo family explains how the situation began and quickly escalated.
Was he following all three of you or just you? Just you two? And you were already home?
Yeah, we just came back from breakfast.
And,
Like, he knew where I was.
okay.
Like, he just followed me and zipped into my drive.
I really do like these cases because it becomes a legal exercise as to what is the law, what are and how does it apply to these facts.
Allison tells officers she had no communication with Rail for several years until he called her out of the blue.
Each little fact is a nugget. You pull out each little fact, like the fact that he hasn't seen her in 3 years. So he's got really no business with her. And then she doesn't return a phone call, and he tries to break into her house. Those are all salient facts that really give rise to a self-defense or defense of others claim here.
Blue.
I should have known he was going to do something.
Body camera footage also shows Allison embracing her father and later sitting next to him near the family pool. At the same time, other officers secure the situation in the front of the home and speak with neighbors.
So we're next door and all this. I heard the gunshots and I seen him drop and invasion. The homeowner. I mean, you see a body laying there. But...
An Ohio grand jury later declined to indict homeowner Mitchell Duckroo in the shooting based on stand your ground laws in the state.
So it's really this. It's if Ohio has a stand your ground law, that's one thing. But I'm not really surprised that the grand jury did not indict. So I had a case one time where my client was living in the basement of his mother-in-law's house. He and his wife and their kids were, they displaced the brother. So the brother had to go get his own place when the brother was a mama's boy. And he comes downstairs, and my client had a back injury. He comes downstairs looking for a board game. And my client was just like, okay. And this guy had been threatening him over and over again. So my client's in his home, or what was his home at the time. And he's standing by the door, and the brother was just outraged, and he was throwing things around. So my client was just sitting there with his gun at his side, and he's just standing there. And then he sees the brother sees the gun, and he looks at him. He says, "Oh, what are you going to do with that?" And he starts charging at him, and he shoots him in the leg. It's like, why would you fucking charge somebody who has a gun? You don't do that. Why would you continue to try to break into a house when, he says, I have a gun? And so the stand your ground law or the castle doctrine, either one, is what saved them here. It all has to be reasonable. And that's it. You got somebody breaking into the house, and he's told there's a gun involved, and he continues. So, and he only shot 3 times. So he shot 3 times until the threat was eliminated. So he didn't continue to shoot. So your actions have to be reasonable in light of the circumstances. And it's good that in this situation that the grand jury did not indict, and I'm glad about that. So this has just been Bruce Rivers. We're reacting to the Ohio dad shooting an ex-boyfriend. And, that's got to be traumatic for that little girl. And for, not a little girl, but for that young lady and the dad. So we'll see you next time here on Criminal Lawyer Reacts. Make sure you subscribe on our channel. Make sure you follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter, sign up for Patreon because we're doing good work there. And next time, we'll see you on Hi, this is Bruce Rivers. Welcome to another episode of CLR Criminal Lawyer Reacts. Today we're going to be reacting to a compilation, Rap's biggest police reads. Now I haven't seen this, so you're going to get my initial reaction. And what is implicated here is the Fourth Amendment. What's the Fourth Amendment? Fourth Amendment is your right against unreasonable searches and seizures. And anytime a cop stops you and searches you or enters your home, they have to have either a warrant or an exception to the warrant. Okay, there's an automobile exception. There's also the inevitable discovery exception. There's also in hot pursuit and the effervescent doctrine. So these are all things that police officers can use to avoid a warrant. So say for the sake of example, you are running from the cops and you run into your home. Well, if they had just seen you commit a crime, they don't need a warrant to go in to get you. They can chase you in there. But what do they need for a warrant? They need probable cause. What is probable cause? Probable cause is just that it's more likely true than not true that evidence of a crime is going to be found where it is alleged to be. So to get a warrant on somebody's home for drugs, for example, they have to have some recent, can't be dated, so it's temporal, it has to be within a certain amount of time, reasonable, that somebody has either seen drugs in the house or that they know drugs will be there. Usually it's some kind of informant, snitch, that we will give them information about that person. Usually, and there's two types of cooperating people. There's a confidential, reliable informant. That's somebody who's given reliable information in the past. There's a confidential informant, and there's a confidential arrested informant. Now, an arrested informant is somebody that is in custody and they're cooperating to benefit themselves. They need a little more corroboration in what they tell the cops. So let's get into this. So this is the largest, or this is the Rap's biggest police raids. So, and like I said, I haven't seen this, so let's just kind of get into it.
An all-out war between hip-hop and the law enforcement. So when cops get a tip that a rapper might be doing something illegal, they usually go all out. Here's a look at a few famous rappers and hip-hop celebrities who have been raided by the police. Lil Wayne. On November 3rd, 2015, the rapper's mansion in Miami Beach was raided by law enforcement. The cops had what is called a levy warrant that is used to seize property due to unpaid debts.
So a levy warrant is not the same as another kind of warrant, but it still gives them the ability to seize your property, and not only seize it just for the moment, it's seize it like until you either pay your debts or they sell it off to pay your debts.
Had been ordered to pay $2 million to Signature Group, a jet leasing company, in a civil lawsuit and failed to pay on time. This was right around the time that Wayne was in the middle of his contract dispute with Cash Money. That same year, he sued his label for $51 million, claiming that they had withheld royalties and violated the terms of his contract. It took some time, but Wayne eventually got his legal situation under control, and he's back to making music with hot young artists like Polo G and Roddy Ricch. But this next rapper wasn't so fortunate and ended up doing 7 years in prison after a raid at a popular studio in New York. Bobby Shmurda.
Now we know Bobby Shmurda. And it's unfortunate that he had to do those 7 years. But let's see what more they have to say about Bobby.
Shmurda is a modern Brooklyn drill legend, despite having only dropped a few hit singles and an EP. The rapper's music career was cut short after he and his crew, GS9, were arrested following a raid at Quad Studios in New York City. The police had been investigating the crew for a long time, and on December 18, 2014, the rapper and many of his friends were arrested at the studio after police uncovered 21 guns, as well as crack and weed.
21 guns, crack, and weed. Weed, who gives a shit about the weed? Nobody cares about weed anymore. But the crack is a big deal, and especially when it comes to finding it in close proximity to firearms. And to search... One of the things about a search warrant is you have a reasonable expectation of privacy in your home. It's your castle, right? So that's the highest level of expectation of privacy. That's why you need a warrant. The cops need a warrant before they can get in there. But you have a reasonable expectation of privacy also in your business. A cop can't just come into my law firm and search my law firm without a warrant unless they have probable cause. And the way they develop probable cause, 99 times out of 100, is a snitch.
To paint Bobby as the ringleader of the gang who organized violent attacks on their ops. He eventually pled guilty to 1 count of conspiracy and 1 count of weapons possession and was sentenced to 7 years in prison. What earned him the respect of fans across the world was that he could have gotten a lighter sentence because he wasn't accused of the more serious crimes. But it would have meant that his homies would have gotten more time. So like a real G, he took the longer sentence to make sure his people were straight. He ended up serving the full 7 years and was released on February 23rd.
So Bobby Shmurda didn't snitch. Do we know anybody else that snitched? How many knives you got in your pocket?
If you thought that was crazy, this next producer had his Manhattan offices raided after being accused of laundering money for a notorious drug lord, Irv Gotti. Irv Gotti is a famous record executive from Hollis, Queens, known as the CEO and co-founder of Murder Inc. But just at the height of his success, Irv's company was the subject of an NYPD investigation that eventually led to the label's downfall. On January 23, 2003, the Murder Inc. offices were raided by a team of agents from the FBI.
Let's just think about that for a second. The name of your company is Murder Inc. You don't think that's going to draw attention? Of course it's going to draw attention. The industry draws attention. And if you have a company called Murder Inc. and you're funneling money through there, dirty money or whatever kind of money, you're going to get screwed.
The feds brought in drug-sniffing dogs to uncover anything incriminating they can find and eventually confiscated tons of documents and the computers in the office. No arrests were made directly after the raid, but Irv and his brother Chris eventually had to stand trial for allegedly laundering over $1 million of drug profits for Kenneth Supreme McGriff.
Now, money laundering is a federal crime. And laundering $1 million in drug proceeds, well, it's serious. It's not huge in terms of dollar value. So the guidelines shouldn't be horrendous on him.
Was a well-known drug lord in New York City who had been running the streets of Jamaica, Queens since the 1980s. McGriff is allegedly the one who ordered the hit on 50 Cent when he was shot 8 times early on in his career. 50 raps about Supreme on the track Ghetto Quran, which the drug lord wasn't happy about, and the rest is rap history. Supreme was eventually found guilty of murder, conspiracy, and drug trafficking, but Irv and his brother would be acquitted of all charges, making him one of the few celebrities in hip-hop to beat a Fed case, which has around a 90% conviction rate. But if you thought...
That's true. The feds do. They're insanely motivated, and they have. It's a next level up. It's like a really high class law firm, basically. And to beat a Fed case is an accomplishment, but to be in that position probably wasn't the smartest thing that he ever did.
That Gucci Mane. Gucci Mane is now known as a rap legend and music mogul who has shined the spotlight on a lot of talented, up-and-coming artists. Police raided the home of Waka Flocka, one of the first artists that Gucci took under his wing and signed in 1017. Gucci was staying with Waka and his mother Deb, who managed him at the time. Police raided the home and found a small amount of marijuana. Gucci was arrested because he was the only one home, but was later released and not charged with anything.
They searched the home and found a small amount of marijuana. What does that tell you? That tells you they either got stale information or bad information, so the snitch was not reliable.
Waka's mother claimed that the police raided the home looking for evidence that Waka was gang affiliated. They didn't find what they were after and arrested Gucci to justify the raid. This was right around the time that Gucci and Waka were starting to beef. Although Gucci and Waka never fully reunited, they have both publicly announced that there is no bad blood between them anymore, and they just prefer to live their own lives. So while the world may never get to hear of Ferrari Boys 2, at least the two artists have put the past behind them.
So did you hear that? They put their past behind them. That's what these guys need to do. All of them. They need to put this shit behind them and live to rap another day.
Paul Wall, along with 10 other people, including fellow Houston rapper Baby Bash, were arrested after the police raided the Paradise Smoke Shop in Houston. The group was hosting a private party and toy drive for underprivileged kids. The rapper and the other men present were charged with manufacturing and delivering THC, the main compound found in weed. He was released on a $20,000 bond, but faced felony drug charges if convicted of the crime. But lucky for Paul Wall and Baby Bash, the grand jury declined to indict the rappers, and all charges were dropped.
So that's a pretty rare occurrence to have a grand jury give a no bill. That's what they call it when the grand jury doesn't indict. And so, because you've heard the old phrase, you could indict a ham sandwich because there's no judge before a grand jury. There's no defense lawyer. There's no cross-examination. It's just the prosecutor presenting his case. Here's the other thing. When they execute a search warrant, if it turns out that that search warrant was issued illegally, then you file a motion and you argue about its illegality in court. If the judge later determines that what the police did in that acquiring of the search warrant was illegal, then it's called fruit of the poisonous tree. And anything that was acquired or seized by the cops during that execution of that search warrant is suppressed. If it's suppressed, they don't have any evidence. If they don't have any evidence, they got to dismiss all charges. I suspect some of that's going on here.
Luckily, the grand jury saw what was going on and declined to even hear the case so the rappers could get back to helping out the community. But this next rapper wasn't so lucky. His house was raided after an anonymous tip to Crime Stoppers revealed that he was threatening people online and was arrested on illegal gun charges. Soulja Boy. Soulja Boy is a rapper and internet personality known for his viral antics. But the internet can be a wild place, and sometimes, when a troll goes too far, there can be real-life consequences. Soulja Boy had to learn this lesson the hard way and got arrested for a probation violation after police found a gun in his home during a raid. The rapper was first arrested for weapons possession in 2014 after police pulled over a vehicle he was riding in and found a gun on him. Soulja claimed the gun wasn't his, and his manager even stated that a neighbor had left the gun in the car, but the court didn't buy it, and Soulja was sentenced to 2 years of probation. In 2016,
So here he is. He's got a gun case in his background. And then he starts a beef online with people, threatening him with the gun. And that gives him, that's called self-snitching, right? Because that gives it's his own words that gave them the probable cause for the search warrant. And the rest is history.
Soulja picked a fight with Lil Bo on Twitter over Instagram model India Love. Quavo stepped in and defended his label mate, which led to Soulja targeting the Migos instead. This led to Soulja dropping the diss track Beef and post a video to Instagram of himself holding a Draco and playing the song in the background.
Just like Big Homie. Just like Big Homie. He posted something on Instagram, and guess what? Bye-bye.
Going viral. Not long after, the police raided his home after an anonymous tip to the Crime Stoppers hotline revealed that Soulja was wilding out and threatening people online. The cops found the gun, and Soulja was found to be in violation of his probation. He pled guilty to felony gun possession and was sentenced to an additional 5 years of probation, plus 240 days of community service. As part of his plea agreement, he was even banned from threatening anyone else online with a weapon, even with a toy or prop gun. But it did give the internet some high-quality entertainment for a few days and kept Soulja's name relevant, which is really what he was after anyway.
So even though he got some notoriety from it, he got an extra 5 years of probation. You screw up on your last day of probation, guess what? You're going to prison.
Young Thug. Despite his taste for women's fashion and wild behavior, Young Thug is really about that life. The rapper has had many run-ins with the law throughout his career, including a raid on his home back in 2015. The rapper was arrested in July 2015 after police raided his home in Sandy Springs, a suburb of Atlanta, and found felony amounts of weed and cocaine, as well as at least 3 illegal firearms. Not long before, Thug was also arrested by U.S. Marshals for threatening to kill a mall cop. Security at a Georgia mall had asked the rapper...
See, that threatening to kill a mall cop? I mean, who gives a shit about a fucking mall cop, honestly? Why would you pay him any mind? I mean, he gives you a little bit of shit, so what? But threatening to kill him, guess what? That gives them, the ability to fuck with him.
To leave, and on the way out, Thug told him he was going to come back and shoot one of them in the face. Around the same time, Thug was also found to have ties to the dude who shot up Lil Wayne's tour bus. Although he was never charged with the crime, a lawsuit filed by the bus driver revealed that the rapper called the shooter's phone 8 times that night, indicating that he may have been involved in the shooting as he was beefing with Wayne at the time. Thug was released on $10,000 bond and was eventually cleared of all charges. His lawyers were able to prove that police entered the home without a legal warrant, and therefore, everything they found could not be used as evidence. The court sided with the rapper.
See what I mean? So, what the lawyer did in that case is he properly looked at the application for the warrant. So when the cops get a warrant, they have to apply for it with an affidavit, and the affidavit is supposed to establish probable cause, right? And so a judge will sign it. Most judges sign whatever the cops put in their face. Good judges will not do that, but you have the right to have that reviewed. And so you file a motion to suppress. You ask for either a Frank's hearing, which is a hearing where you talk about the illegality of the warrant, and then you could get the warrant thrown out. And if you get the warrant thrown out, guess what? They have no evidence to proceed.
And all the charges were dropped except for the weed charge, which didn't carry a serious penalty. So Thug got pretty lucky that the cops did a sloppy job with raiding his home. NBA Youngboy. In September 2020, Youngboy, along with 16 other men, were filming a music video in an abandoned house in Baton Rouge when neighbors called the cops. Police recovered 14 guns and $79,000 worth of cash. One of the...
See, people talk about, oh, they're prop guns. Those aren't prop guns. Neighbors complained, probably just from the noise, and they probably saw these guys with guns and they responded. So, and we know with his history, he is not eligible to possess a firearm.
This turned out to be stolen, and 2 had illegal stocks. Plus, the rapper was also hit with separate drug charges related to the incident. Being a convicted felon, Youngboy is not allowed to be around weapons or hang out with other convicted felons, even if it is for the purpose of filming a music video. He was originally released on $75,000 bond, but in February of 2021, the FBI officially announced that they had opened an investigation into the entire NBA crew, and a warrant was issued for Youngboy's arrest. After LAPD tried to pull him over for the warrant, the rapper tried to get away, first in a car and then on foot. He was eventually tracked by a K-9 unit and is being held without bail until the trial. Check.
That's what we talked about that. You remember he fled from the cops and tossed a gun, so he's got another gun charge.
If convicted, Youngboy could spend a long time behind bars. Even though no one was actually harmed on the day of the video shoot, Youngboy has a criminal history that includes charges relating to shootouts, domestic battery, kidnapping, and more. In the past, he's always managed to get by without facing any serious time, but this case is looking different. Youngboy's lawyers maintain he's innocent, and authorities have no way to tie the guns and drugs found at the scene to the rapper. But Fed cases have a pretty high conviction rate, so it seems unlikely that they would take it to trial unless they already had solid evidence.
So those are some of the biggest and latest police raids and things that are going on. I wanted to just give you guys a little 411 about the Fourth Amendment and how it's applied and what the cops do in order to get a search warrant, and then what happens when the search warrant goes awry. So this has just been a little bit of informational video for you guys, a little constitutional education about the Fourth Amendment. So I really appreciate all of our subscribers. Really appreciate you guys. If you're watching this, guess what you need to do? You need to follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter, and we'd love to have you be one of our patrons. So sign up for the Patreon account, and we'll see you next time. This has been Bruce Rivers, Criminal Lawyer Reacts. Hi, this is Bruce Rivers. Welcome to another fun-filled episode of Criminal Lawyer Reacts. We are reacting today to the rebuttal on the Johnny Depp trial. Now let's just kind of recap a little bit of what happens during a civil process. So you've got their case in chief, they rest, then you have the defense puts on their case, now you have a rebuttal. And what the rebuttal is designed to do is be specifically tailored to something that the defense has raised, and in this case, Amber Heard's defense. Now, I've seen a lot of reactors, this is like a whole cottage industry reacting to the Johnny Depp thing. It's kind of crazy, all the different people that are reacting to it. And everybody's looking for, oh, look at this moment here, or look at this moment there. Well, what I've noticed is it's not really more of a this moment or that moment. It's the collective moments. It's the slow drip, 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 the chiseling away at the credibility of Amber Heard. We heard from, and I'll play this here for you in a second, from Kate Moss. That was a critical point in Amber Heard's testimony, where she testified that she didn't want to be like Kate Moss, where she was pushed down a flight of stairs. That opened the door. That totally opened the door to Johnny Depp being able to bring in Kate Moss to say it never happened. He was never like that with me. Really giving him a chance to give his own character evidence from an independent party, or not independent party, but from somebody who had intimate knowledge of who he was, and somebody who wouldn't have been allowed to testify but for Amber Heard's statements. Then you have, Amber Heard, put up psychologists, and then they came back and were able to rebut some of the other information that they had. But one of her psychologists, this is just hilarious. And when you look at the difference in the caliber of witnesses between the Depp side and the Amber Heard side, it is just stark.
Any of Mr. Depp's other portrayals in movies, did that affect your analysis of processing speed?
Only I've seen him interact on interviews, and that was it.
Right.
So what they did with Amber Heard is she was able to sit down with Johnny Depp's expert for hours and do testing. So that is how you do this. And so what this guy did, he watched some of his movies and came up with a diagnosis that way.
But he wasn't in movies.
Right. But Willy Wonka doesn't matter to you? You see him in that movie, Charlie and Chocolate Factory? Did you look at that one when you were comparing this processing speed?
What the fuck is that? What the fuck is that?
Do I answer that question?
It's bizarre. It's bizarre. That's what you call a nervous fucking tick, okay? And it's just bizarre. So I don't care what his credentials are. I don't care how acclaimed he is. When you do this, and you can fucking hear his mouth smacking, it just sounds ridiculous. And then he looks at the judge and he says, "Do I have to answer that question?"
You have to answer questions. Yes, sir.
No, you'll be happy to know I didn't see Willy Wonka I didn't see 21 Jump Street when it happened or whatever it was about. No, I did not.
He just seems odd, and so whatever his credentials are is lost in his presentation. What is a trial? Trial is all about communication. All about communication. And we've seen with the I would never hire this guy in a million years. He may be very fine, very qualified, but his presentation sucks. So we also heard from the guy at the Trailer Palace, and he just who if he wants this 15 minutes of fame, that was Amber Heard's lawyer's cross-examination theme, that he just wanted his 15 minutes of fame and that's about it. And the problem that I have with that is, he owned the place. And when it came time to talk about the damage done, if you remember, Amber Heard testified that there was a significant amount of damage done, blah, blah, blah. And there was a lamp that was broken, and it was $62 or whatever, however much it was. Then you have the person that Amber's sister lived with, and she directly contradicted everything Whitney Enriquez had said. So what you have on the rebuttal is a chip away at Amber's credibility, and she's kind of left with nothing to corroborate anything she's saying. Now, we also heard from the executives at Warner Brothers, and they talked about the lack of chemistry between Jason Momoa and Amber Heard. They also talked about the contract and how the statements made by Johnny Depp's lawyers didn't have any impact on her contract, because it wouldn't have. So I think, the long and short of it is, I think her claims are going to fail. And I think that Johnny Depp's claims seem more credible. So if it turns out that they really don't like her, they're going to tag her. They're going to tag, but we don't know that yet. So then they call Johnny, in rebuttal, they call Johnny Depp, and his testimony now is limited. It's got to be just to refute things that were said on the defense's case in chief. Now, here's the thing. If you look at this, there was a lot said, and so really, it's supposed to be limited, but it really kind of isn't.
There. Thank you. We can take this down. Mr. Depp, do you recall Ms. Heard testifying that she punched you in the staircase incident because she thought of Kate Moss in the stairs.
Do I remember her saying that?
Yes.
Yes, I do. 3 times. Yes, I do.
Do you have any understanding as to what Ms. Heard was referring to?
Yes, I do.
So here's the problem that Amber Heard has. First of all, she's over dramatized everything, and when she talks about something that she wasn't there for and has no idea about whether it's true or not, she's so reckless with the truth that she doesn't know a truth from a lie, in my opinion. And so when you do that, you're not careful about what you say. And when you're not careful about what you say, the other side can pick up on that and then have something that absolutely is provably false.
As Kate Moss, Kate testified, it was many, many years ago. And exactly what happened is what she said happened.
So Johnny Depp would not have been able to talk about that incident at all had Amber Heard not mentioned it in her direct examination. If you remember, there was a time where Johnny Depp's lawyers were like, yes.
In my head, instantly think of Kate Moss and the stairs, and I swung at him.
And the reason they're like that is because they had Kate Moss in their pocket. They had Kate Moss. She's going to testify, and they knew exactly what she was going to say. How idiotic is it really? I mean, it was unnecessary. She didn't even have to bring that up, but she opened the door.
Recall.
So this is why this is important, because everything Johnny Depp has said so far seems like it's backed up. Let's see what Kate Moss, and this is kind of powerful stuff.
Would you please state your full name for the record?
Kate Moss.
Did there come a time when you and Mr. Depp had a romantic relationship?
Yes.
For how long, Ms. Moss, were you and Mr. Depp a romantic couple?
From 1993 to 1994 to 1998.
So she's been in a relationship with him for 4 years.
Makeup with Mr. Depp.
We were leaving the room, and Johnny left the room before I did, and there had been a rainstorm, and as I left the room, I slid down the stairs, and I hurt my back.
See, this totally cuts into Amber Heard's story, because she's basing it on some rumor innuendo. But here's what else it did. Listen to this next part, because this is kind of important.
How did you... I apologize, Ms. Moss. Please continue.
And I screamed because I was because I didn't know what had happened to me, and I was in pain. And he came running back to help me and carried me to my room and got me medical attention.
Now you've got that vision, right? You've got the vision of Johnny Depp running back. I mean, so this isn't just, okay, Amber's a liar. This is, not only is Amber a liar, but Johnny's a good guy. That gives you a completely different impression of who Johnny Depp is compared to the monster that Amber Heard is trying to create. And this is totally unnecessary. Had she never mentioned Kate Moss at all, and her lawyers, I'm sure, told her not to do it, but she's what you call in charge. She's a narcissist. She's just one of those people who's just knows best, right? But she opened the door, and all of a sudden you've got this great evidence, character evidence of Johnny Depp, and it's irrefutable. I mean, they didn't do squat with her on cross. Now here's the other thing. TMZ has tried to interject themselves into this and trying to suppress a witness. Now, there's a witness saying that's going to likely testify that Amber Heard or somebody from Amber Heard's crowd gave them the video of Johnny Depp kind of going crazy, right? And she, on direct examination, or on cross, actually had denied that she had anything to do with it. And if you remember, this is where she did this kind of thing in her deposition. But and so TMZ is trying to prevent this person from testifying. It's a former employee.
Bearing on this case, and as that's not germane to this litigation, therefore I'll deny the non-party HM Productions motion to intervene.
Thank you, Your Honor. For the record, I've known Mr. Tobin for several years. I meant no snarkiness toward him.
Well, you're just a snarky guy.
So what happened was he had said that TMZ is no Edward R. Murrow. In other words, because the argument is that this is a journalistic thing. TMZ sought to intervene based upon a First Amendment right of privilege, reporter privilege. But it didn't go anywhere, and they didn't, they've made a record of it, but the witness is going to come in and hopefully testify, and we'll see what happens. So, hi, this is Bruce Rivers. Welcome to another episode of Criminal Lawyer Reacts. I'm a board-certified criminal defense lawyer, and I'm here for your reaction pleasure. Now, we get a lot of comments, and I fucking love the comments, just so you know. I read most of them. I react to quite a few of them. But one of the things we take away from the comments is what you want to see. And so there have been a lot of comments about Remble. I have no idea who Remble is. But Gordon Ramsay freestyle Remble, that's what we're going to react to because it's one of our more requested reactions. So we want to please our core constituents and want to know that whatever you want, we'll try to comply as much as we can. But we also want you guys to do one thing. What do we want you to do? Stop self-snitching. So go on to Patreon and spread the word by purchasing one of our luxurious head covers. So without further ado, here is, and I haven't seen this. I haven't seen this video at all. But here we go. This is Remble, Gordon Ramsay, and I'm sure we'll be copyrighted on this. So, how many people have died in the name of religion over the years? I mean, so that's kind of a profound statement. And first off, we see he's just kind of hanging out there, and I like how you can actually understand what he's saying. And you spend a band on a burner. You know what a band is, $1,000, and a burner, pop, pop.
40 pointers on rollies, the time glisten. Superchargers on foreigns, we drive different. Can you believe that he tucked on my lick?
Can you believe that he tucked on my lick? That, that means he bailed out on his robbery.
It's my smicking. His grave is his placement, he AWOL. Christopher Dorner and snipers with 8 call.
Remember who Christopher Dorner was? He was that cop that killed about 5 people on a gun rampage out of LA.
If you can't see me.
So what do you think of this? This is actually pretty good because we don't have him, so far we don't have any guns and he's talking about the lifestyle, but he's talking about it more euphemistically and artistically. So he's not saying I'm going to kill Steve Johnson over on 3rd Street this afternoon, and then tomorrow I'm going to hide his body in the gun. So it's not a self-snitching video, but it is kind of a this is the life, and I'm all that in a bag of chips.
Like it was made for him. Shawn Michaels, I put it. How to keep it.
I don't know if you like Gordon Ramsay or not. I think he's a little overdone. I like it when he does the local chef thing with local chefs, and then he loses. That's my favorite, watching him lose. because he's humble and he's decent. Otherwise, when he does that other show where he teaches people how to cook and it's a competition, he's a complete fucking dick. Anyway, that's just my Gordon Ramsay reference.
In class with a sidekick. Subwoofers installed in white Benzes. I keep a Glocky with nuts. Don't fight with me. Rats help my dad get a life sentence.
Rats help my dad get a life sentence. Well, snitching is snitching is snitches snitching. And we don't like snitching at all. But that would be tough to sit with because my dad was, he went to prison and there was a snitch involved. So you have, and that guy was lucky, very lucky. I drove by his house many times with a loaded 357, and thank God I didn't do anything. I mean, I was so tempted. And when he's talking about Glocky with nuts, you know what he's talking about. That's what the double round makes. So it looks like a dick and balls, I guess. You don't need it. I mean, it is what it is. But yeah, I can't tell you how that really impacted our family when that guy snitched on my father and my father went to prison. That's why I became a lawyer. But I'm glad I became a lawyer rather than take a revenge out on him. I did drive by his house several times with a loaded 357 and didn't act on it. Thank God I didn't act on it. Because he went up getting AIDS and dying like suffering like the rat that he was.
Pad with a smile, you like snitching. Slay the nigga just for pissing in the shitter.
Slay a fella for pissing in the shitter. That's funny.
Pistols for a fade, I brought some hitters with the clippers. Sniper bullets, these will hit them from a distance. When I'm into it with an...
Now, did you see that last clip? You saw the bullets flying down? That's not in his hands. You see that? I mean, and I don't know if he has a record or not. I have no... this is the first I've even done anything with this particular guy. But, you see that video with the bullets coming down. That's art. That's clearly art. And you could probably have gotten that, off of a clip from... But it's not in his hands, which is the difference between that and NBA Youngboy.
To be fast, I'll never save it for dinner. He threw his beef in crock pots. He was just ready to sit.
See, that was a total fake gunshot. So I kind of like it. I mean, I like the cadence. I like the articulation of the video, and I like the storytelling, and it gives you some real imagery.
Wait till you see what this photo do. Buddy ran up on the... Oh, God, stay tuned.
Dropping to the knee, looked like he was proposed to him. I think what he's referring to is... Look at the ring sitting there. That's pretty hilarious.
I know who did it, but I can't tell you who shot the man. He spent them blacks disguised in wigs like he was Joanna Man. Really split...
So you couldn't tell who the man was because he was basically in a wig like Joanna Man. If you remember, that's an older movie. In fact, that's a movie probably prior to his birth, I'm guessing. But Joanna Man was a movie where this guy plays in the WNBA as a woman after he couldn't make it in the NBA, and it's actually pretty hilarious because he dresses up as a woman and he's a star in the WNBA.
Really splitting wigs.
So that was Rumble. Gordon Ramsay freestyle. I don't know why he calls it Gordon Ramsay freestyle because Gordon Ramsay is just a small reference to it. Maybe because Gordon Ramsay is popular, and that's the most popular part of the song. I have no idea, but so that was Gordon Ramsay freestyle. I liked it. I thought it was a decent. He's not going to get arrested from anything he says or does in that video. But there it is. So we've got we're back in action. We're going to have a lot more videos coming up. We took a little break. I've got the month of August off. We're working on our rap video on the motion grant. If you go to Instagram and you look at one of my last posts, you'll see the back of motion granted. That's the yacht that I bought, and that's what we're going to be on. So spread the word. Find out where you can get that on Patreon. And do me a favor, if you're watching this, you should be on Patreon, you should be on Instagram, you should be on Twitter, and we'll give advance warning for the next one coming up soon, and we'll see you next time. Hi, this is Bruce Rivers. Welcome to another episode of Criminal Lawyer Reacts. Today I'm reacting to Rumble Touchable. Have not even seen this, so I'm going to probably be a little choppy, or with the chopper. I don't have a chopper with me today. I'm not lacking, though. Anyway, we're about to do our first live show with Motivation Hustle. We're kind of co-sponsoring it with them. It's at the 7th Street entry, which is right by same building as First Avenue here in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And it's Stars of Tomorrow rap show, and I'll be giving out, we'll do a meet and greet and maybe give out some merch, and be great to meet some of you folks. So today we're going to start with Rumble Touchable. Have not seen this at all, so let's just get into it.
It's Rumble. Will he perform when he has money right in front of him? Run up on that boy and kill his cousin right in front of him.
Run up on that boy and kill him right in front of him. Well, that's not nice.
He's tapped his shoulder, so I know that he is touchable. Put 30 in my chop and then I turned him to a Huxtable.
Put 30 in my, let's see, what does it say? Put 30 in my chop and then turn him into a Huxtable. Huxtable, you probably don't even know this, but Mr. Huxtable was the Cosby Show. He was a doctor, and his name was Huxtable. But 30 in my chop, 30 rounds in my...
Came a long way from pre-K and eating Lunchables. I just took your life, and as you know, it's unrefundable.
So, you know, we've had a lot of people say, oh, you can't use, it's art, you know, you can't use their statements against them. You know, and I've even had law students cite a federal rule of evidence, and talking about you can't use it as character evidence. Well, there's two types of evidence. There's character evidence, right? You can't use evidence against a defendant to prove character. You can use it to rebut their character. So the prosecutor can't just come in and put a bunch of evidence and say he's a bad guy. But, however, they can use a statement of a party opponent. It's 801D. And what that means is they can use your own statement against you if it's relevant and goes to an admission to a crime. So if any of this is related to anything real, which I don't know if it is or not, but if it's anything's related to real, they can absolutely use it, and they shove that shit up your ass.
When you up the Smith, then you should never feel uncomfortable. Don't waste any time, bro. Just turn him to a vegetable.
God, this is just fucking cold shit. When you up the Smith, you should never feel uncomfortable. In other words, you should just pop. You know, like you should just, you know, be brazen and give me a fucking break. Don't waste time, bro. Just turn him into a vegetable. That is, see, a lot of these messages that we're dealing with here, you know, the violence. You know, I was talking to Nita Milan. You should look at, I did a live interview with Nita Milan on Nita Milan Radio on Instagram. You should find her. She's actually pretty cool. But she was talking about in St. Louis how they're having a lot of these gang problems. And whether it's going to stop and how it's going to stop and what we're doing to stop it. And, you know, this drill music is no different than anything else. I don't know if you saw the American Music Awards last night, but the gal that hosted the show, Doja Cat, she came out in this fucking SpongeBob-looking thing. It was just the weirdest thing I've ever seen, but that's kind of her. That's her shtick, right? And that's to get attention, to get noticed. Well, what do you think these guys do? They do the same thing that rock and rollers did, that Elvis Presley did, shake his hips. You know, nobody was doing that at the time. Crazy. You know, when Madonna was, you know, blowing guys on stage, figuratively speaking. You know, it's to get noticed. And this is outrageous shit, just outrageous, to turn him into a vegetable. The only danger is that it's emulated. And that's what I worry about sometimes. Not sometimes, all the time.
Job, right?
And here's the other thing. I kind of like Rumble. I like his cadence. I like his voice. He's got a good voice, and he's got good rhymes. I mean, it's got good composition, should we say? But it is cold as shit.
It was a bunch of them.
So, when you are with a gang, and you're doing this stuff, it may be going federal is one of the things he was talking about. You certainly could get popped federally, and they're doing that more and more and more, taking groups of guys, low hanging fruit, and and then guess what? Then they start snitching on the people above them.
I just tapped his shoulder, so I know that he is touchable. Put 30 in my chop, and then I turned him.
I tapped his shoulder and know he is touchable. In other words, I can kill him at will.
Huxtable came a long way from pre-K and eating Lunchables. I just took your life.
Think about that. Isn't that good imagery? Came a long way from pre-K eating Lunchables, untouchable. That imagery of being, a little kid with not a care in the world, eating your Lunchable at recess to getting your shit pushed back, boy. I mean, it is something.
Never feeling comfortable.
I was watching him outside his house. He was getting comfortable. That's premeditation. And if you're with somebody else, it's conspiracy to commit murder, which is as we've talked about in the past, conspiracy or aiding and abetting another in committing a crime. You're just as guilty as that person as somebody else. Give you an example. My client went one day to go see his parents, his buddy's parents. They were going to kill him. They were going to kill his parents. It was a conspiracy to commit 2 murders. My client got cold feet, and he backed out. But they had driven there and walked up to the door, and he chickened out. The next day, his buddy goes and kills his parents at an auto body shop that they owned with a fucking shotgun. Okay. Well, the night before, my client going just the act of going there, because a conspiracy is an agreement between 2 or more people, and then an act in furtherance of that conspiracy. Okay. So even though all he did is drive there and walk up to the door, that's an act in furtherance. Conspiracy is completed. He got 14 years. They were going for 28.
That my Glock was undiscoverable. You were popping it, and now just look at what we've done to you. Peter Piper picked a pack of bullets, now they're touching you. I was coaching up.
Peter Piper picked a pack of bullets, and now look at what they did. That's just so fucking cold.
Shot is now they're rushing.
And here, notice something else. You don't see a single gun in this video. You see this and you see that, but nobody's holding any firearms. Smart.
I know that he is touchable. Put 30 in my chop, and then I turned him to a Huxtable. Came a long way from pre-K.
Put 30 in my chop. You don't even need that. You only need 1.
Eating Lunchables. I just took your life.
If you need 30, you're not a good shot.
You know it's unrefundable. When you up the Smith, then you should never feel uncomfortable.
So that was Rumble, touchable, and super violent imagery. Super violent. But they're not, the video itself isn't really violent. I mean, if you turn the sound down, they just look like they're, regular fine fellas. So this is Bruce Rivers, and I don't mean fellas in that way, so don't go off on me on that. This is Bruce Rivers, Criminal Lawyer Reacts. We are getting close to doing our show on the 28th of September. So if you're in the area, come on down. I won't disappoint you. If you come, maybe you get one of these. We'll do a meet and greet. Also, if you're not coming, you should order one of these. If you're on Patreon, you'll get one of these. If you log into Instagram, follow us on there, follow us on Twitter, And we'll see you next time here on Criminal Lawyer Reacts. Bruce Rivers. Hi, this is Bruce Rivers. Welcome to another edition of Criminal Lawyer Reacts, CLR. Bruce Rivers. I am a board-certified criminal defense lawyer where I try cases. I actually try cases. I go to court. I argue to a jury. I win quite a number of my cases. We don't win every case, but I win most of them that I try. Anyway, the reason we're going to do something today a little bit different, we're doing a reaction to Ghislaine Maxwell. Now, Ghislaine Maxwell was born in the UK. She was from a great source of wealth and privilege and whatever you want to call it, a little bit of royalty. She was the confidant, concubine. She was the property manager and co-conspirator for Jeffrey Epstein. Now, let's talk about who Jeffrey Epstein was. Jeffrey Epstein died in a jail. Jeffrey Epstein had an island off the Bahamas, and he had a place in Manhattan, and he had a place in Florida, and he also had a place in New Mexico. He was a very charming guy and got into a real wealthy circle, stole a lot of money from a lot of people. He had a ring of sex dens. Let's just call them sex dens because that's really essentially what they were. And his pension wasn't for women his own age, or even women 5 years younger than him, or even women 10 years younger than him, or even women. His pension was for women that probably needed babysitters. He had a system where he would take in, groom, and sexually assault young girls as young as 14. Bring them to the island, and when they're on the island, there's no cops on the island. There's no way for them to get out. There's no way for them to make phone calls for So, and this all was geared towards two things. Well, first of all, he also had a large collection of celebrities, powerful people, and you can tell why he did what he did. And how he did it, and the sick pleasure that he got from it by some of the paintings that he had. If you look at this, he's got a painting of Bill Clinton in a dress, for example. And I think that's probably how he saw it, that he put him in that dress. I've got him in a position of vulnerability. And so, Clinton used his plane like 26 times or something like that. And anybody that went to his island and says, I didn't touch anybody, bullshit. There's only one reason to go to the Jeffrey Sex Island, and that's to have sex with Jeffrey Epstein's minions, his little victims. And here's the thing. I am not a prude. I love the punani. I love it. I can't get enough of it, right? But I don't love sexualizing young children. And I think people who do that, that's why the penalties are so fucking through the roof. Now, so he did this in his Manhattan apartment. He did this in Florida. He did this in his New Mexico place, and he did this on Jeffrey Epstein Island. And the island, it's called Little St. James. And so, but it was such a vast array of things that he did. He couldn't do it on his own. He needed help. And the person that helped him was Ghislaine Maxwell. Ostensibly, I would think, if any of this is true about the celebrities, because you've got Bill Gates, Alan Dershowitz, Bill Clinton, Donald Trump. The list goes on and on and on. If any of it's true, Ghislaine Maxwell will certainly hold the keys to anybody that visited and Prince Andrew, and who's being sued right now for some of this conduct. But Ghislaine Maxwell would certainly have the playbook, or of all the people who came and went, right? And she was directly responsible for acquiring, grooming, and providing to Jeffrey Epstein the young girls as young as 14 years old, right? And so in this case that she's got right now, she's made plea after plea after plea to try to get out. And what did we say before about what happens when you have a bail hearing? There's two things they look at, right? They look at risk of flight and danger to the public. In her case, she was in hiding for quite a while. They had to go find her, right? So that means she's from another country. So she is definitely a risk of flight. So, and in the federal system, you're not automatically entitled to bail. And on a trafficking case like this, you are presumed detention is presumed. So she tried multiple times. She's in custody. And a judge just recently ruled that the government has to disclose all of the statements that they intend to use at trial. In other words, disclose the identity of any of the witnesses. And some people might take that to mean that these celebrities are going to be the ones disclosed. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about the young girls who are going to be who are going to testify. So her trial's in November. So that's really not much time between now and November. Because, and here's the other thing, her conduct stems from 94 to 97. It's only 3 years. And I don't really, I looked at the indictment, and I don't really understand why it only encompasses that much time, but because clearly there was a lot more going on than that. But the statute of limitations is not a factor in this prosecution. Now, one of the concepts that is important in this is aiding and abetting. Aiding and abetting, what does that mean? If you aid and abet somebody in committing a crime, you are just as guilty of that substantive crime as the person committing it. And you are subject to the penalties that person would be subject to. So if I aid and abet first-degree murder, I'm looking at life. If I aid and her guidelines, I haven't really calculated them, but my guess is it's probably 360 to life. So 30 years to life. Her guidelines are going to be through the roof, especially because there's so many victims. So we're going to kind of follow this as this comes up. And we are going to, because I think we're going to have some disclosures from the defense that are going to be quite interesting. I mean, there was some talk about, Jeffrey Epstein's suicide and how that happened. And then, and that happened while he was in custody, and some guys just didn't have the camera on, and they just weren't paying attention, and he just wasn't being, but somebody like that who is a narcissist, who's not going to want to go to prison, who knows if he did it himself or not. All I can tell you is there's a lot more juicy stuff to come, especially when it comes to all these celebrities. Prince Andrew, Bill Gates, Bill Clinton, Alan Dershowitz. I can go on and on and on. So that's just a quick update on Ghislaine Maxwell. It's going to be, and the testimony from these witnesses is going to be heart-wrenching because, the stories are just legendary. And he sexually, here's the other thing about these young girls. If you're 14 years old, and I can't speak for every single state in the country, but at least federally and in probably 90% of the states, you cannot consent to sex at 14 years old. It's legally impossible. So there couldn't be the defense that it was consensual, especially with the young ones. And why would you do that? And he entered into a plea deal. That's the other thing. He entered into a plea deal for some of this stuff way back when. That was a sweetheart of a deal that nobody in this God's green earth would have gotten, but for influence. And Alan Dershowitz and Kenneth Starr. Remember Kenneth Starr? Mr. Kenneth Starr. He was the prosecutor on the Bill Clinton, Monica Lewinsky thing. Mr. I am so high and mighty, and I'm so pure as the driven fucking snow. Well, we've got to get Clinton because he got a blowjob in the fucking White House. Well, guess what? He was one of the lawyers that got Epstein that sweetheart deal, and that was a crooked deal, absolutely crooked deal. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with Ghislaine Maxwell, and it'll be interesting to see if any of these celebrities are actually outed. I doubt that they will be necessarily, and the only one so far that's really been outed is Prince Andrew, and a little bit with Alan Dershowitz. I mean, who would want to screw that guy anyway? I mean, he's not a handsome son of a bitch. So, just wanted to give you a quick update on her. It's going to be a very interesting trial. It's in November, and once we get closer to November, there are going to be motions and that kind of stuff, and we're going to follow that. And Melly's trial is coming up very soon. So we're going to have some trial updates on some of these things. And and here's what I'll do. I'll go through the filings, because I can get all that stuff online. And when you actually go through the filings, you can get a better handle on what's happening in court. These federal cases are not going to be televised. And I don't think Melly's is either. But you can get a better handle on what's going on, and by looking at the memorandums and the filings and the depositions and the reports. And so, cross your fingers. We'll see you next time on Criminal Lawyer Reacts. Remember, if you're watching this, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, become a Patreon member. 3 months Patreon, you get a free hat. And or just hop on Shopify at the link below and order one. Remember, on the 28th, we're sponsoring a show, Motivation Hustle, along with Motivation Hustle, Stars of Tomorrow, at the 7th Street entry. I'll be there. I'll be introducing an act and doing a meet and greet. So until then, we'll see you next time here on Criminal Lawyer